Ripple has stopped programmatic sales of XRP. This is very important for everyone to understand, and this all goes back to the video that we put out earlier this week, where we highlighted some court case documents, relationships between Ripple and market makers, and how Ripple has been responsibly distributing XRP exclusively to on-demand liquidity institutional partners ever since this lawsuit started. And in fact, they stopped programmatic sales before the lawsuit even occurred. Very important detail that the XRP haters and fudsters forgot to mention when they were putting their negative spin on this fact that is so important when trying to understand how can Ripple effectively distribute the XRP that they have in a way that doesn't impact price of XRP negatively, in a way that is positive for the XRP ledger ecosystem. Very important. Let's get right on into it. And I have to remind our community that we have a group of folks out here that have dedicated, they have made it their life mission to FUD XRP. They have created a personal identity around this, and it's actually sad to see. And another segment of this group just wants to show you something else. Stay safe out there. So on one end of the spectrum, you have, Bitcoin maxis, Ethereum maxis. I got a deal, bro, that have something else to shill you. And that's one segment of the group that is, just dedicated their life to FUDding XRP. And then you have another portion, for whatever reason, they've taken this upon themselves. And a large part of it, let's just get to it. It's the attention. XRP, the conversation, whether it's negative, whether it's positive, it brings folks attention, clicks, views. And that's what these guys want. And so even when presented with facts that don't speak to any sort of negative impact on XRP price, they still manage a way to twist it, pervert the truth, and they come up with some sort of negative spin cycle that they put on all of the facts and the evidence and the data points that we continue to share that reflect that Ripple remains a responsible custodian of this world reserve digital currency. Now, just that statement alone gets them hung up because how dare we call XRP a world reserve currency when we haven't gotten an official declaration from the IMF or the BIS or somebody who's official? Well, we're here to say that Ripple continues to treat their XRP as a reserve currency. I continue to treat my XRP as a reserve currency, and that's not going to change. Now let's get into a couple data points before we get into today's topic of discussion. We are looking at the CPI, which we got last week along with the PPI. And now the next risk to markets is going to be the FOMC minutes that are going to be coming out on Tuesday. And we combine that with the hype surrounding NVIDIA earnings on Wednesday. And you have all the elements you need for the start of a new market upswing. So maybe a couple of negative factors coming in, but then maybe we'll start to head back up. Let's continue to watch it. Now, this is a good resource right here, Earnings Whispers. You can follow them on Twitter, and they share the earnings reports when they're coming out. So we got the big one Wednesday coming after close of the market. It's going to be NVIDIA. And then Wednesday, we also get the FOMC minutes. And this is basically the minutes of the meeting that the Federal Open Market Committee, that's the Federal Reserve, it's the minutes from their meeting. So you get additional perspective on how they're viewing the markets, the strength, and what they need to be doing with interest rates and kind of their forward guidance. Now, speaking of forward guidance, it appears that Senator Tommy Tuberville sees a little something that is making him dump and do extensive selling. Take a look at it, folks. Republican Senator Tommy Tuberville's recent trading. He's been doing a lot of selling. And, I bring this back to the video that I just dropped the other day, talking about how we've seen insiders selling off massive positions across the board. Jeff Bezos selling another $2 billion worth of Amazon stock, bringing the most recent totals to about $6 billion worth of Amazon stock that he's sold off here. I think since the new year, or maybe that first sale was at the end of last year. But nonetheless, within the past few months, we've seen Bezos sell off about $6 billion worth of his stock. We've highlighted how we have Zuckerberg selling off his Facebook Meta stock, and he's building underground bunkers. We combine that, we got Tommy Tuberville. He's selling off his positions as well. So what do these insiders know? In regards to insiders, well, we've had the pleasure of getting the inside scoop from an Ethereum insider. And of course, I'm speaking on Steven Narioff, who I now have the pleasure of announcing is going to be featured in the XRP Unleashed documentary. That's right, folks. Fruition Productions, Chris and his team, the ones that are behind this documentary, are proud to announce that Steven Arioff, Digital Perspectives, Brad Kimes, Digital Asset Investor, our good friends, along with 3T Good Morning Crypto Show, have recorded incredible new interviews for XRP Unleashed, and he cannot wait to share these bombshell segments with the world. Also, thanks to Jenna Crypto and Thinking Crypto and Fred Rispoli for providing insights on our special episode of Good Morning Crypto. So, absolutely love to see it. So excited. Not only do we have Steven Arioff, an early Ethereum insider, who's going to be able to add context, proof, documentation, evidence, recordings, actual facts to back up this ETHgate story, right? That we were called crazy lunatic, whack job conspiracy theorists for even talking about. Now we've been completely vindicated by the court documents, by Steven Arioff, the Ethereum whistleblower. It's all coming out. It's coming out on the big screen in a theater near you or on a streaming platform near you in your house, I guess. We don't know if the documentary is going to be on Netflix, Hulu, Amazon. We don't know who's going to buy it, but it is set to be released in the second half of this year. We have the Ethereum whistleblower Steven Arioff in there. Obviously, I've been interviewed for it as well. Really looking forward to the full picture being put together. And I'm also watching as we are getting some of the Twitter sleuths that have been doing some of the best investigative work on this story that are also in touch with them. So this thing's going to reveal not only the truth about XRP, which is very important, but why I think that the ETHgate story and the SEC's corruption is so important to add to this documentary is that it's going to relate to people outside of the crypto space. You have many Americans across the board from both sides of the aisle that are pissed off with the SEC, that are upset and think that it's ridiculous, the bureaucracy beast, all of the three-letter agencies that have gone political and that have a stranglehold on America. This is where we extend out past not just the XRP community, not just the crypto community, but we reach a broader market. And so that's why I'm so excited that they're including the ETHgate aspect of this story into the XRP Unleashed documentary. Can't wait to see the finished product. Now, continuing on, folks, let's talk about progress. We have Ripple D 2.1 pull request for the main branch is now officially open. This is XRP Ledger software update. And what's important about this update is it includes the bug fix for inner objects that affected the XRP Ledger automated market maker. Now, what we're talking about is the AMM, the automated market maker that was delayed because Ripple actually found this bug before the AMM was set to go live. We had the 80% votes. We had the 2-week countdown started, but then the bug was found and we had some validators which chose to pull their votes over the concern of this code. There was a bug is what it's called, but Ripple and their team of developers were actually able to fix the bug in less than 12 hours. I don't think that it was necessary to pull the votes, but nonetheless, that's what the validators did, and it's decentralization on display. It's not Ripple that controls the ledger. It's the validators, the 35 that are on the default UNL list, that determine the progress and basically where the XRP ledger is going to go. So we had the delay now, right? They pulled their votes. AMM was delayed, and we were waiting for this fix to come out. It is now set to be released, and we're going to see validators start to update, and then we should see those votes that went to no should flip back to yes on AMM, and we should have our AMM here in the next couple months. Probably in the next month or two, conservatively. Very exciting stuff. Now, as we titled this episode, and it's so important to understand, many people miss this. Now, many people miss this, and obviously the haters and the fudsters chose not to report on it because they always leave out context that matters. They always leave out facts that prove there's no reason to FUD XRP and Ripple. Now, once again, I'm always checking my investment thesis. I'm always checking my bias. I know. Excuse me. I have a big bag of XRP. I treat it as a reserve currency. Absolutely guilty of that. But at the same time, I always am checking my bias. I'm always checking my investment thesis, and I'm always asking questions. Just like with any other project, I'm not afraid to do that with XRP and Ripple. And despite what some people say, I'm not paid by Ripple. I'm not paid by anybody. I don't have any sponsors. The only people that support me are you guys. So I appreciate you guys for smashing the thumbs up and for sharing out our content far and wide, and for using all of our community resources available at zachrector.com. Even though I have the black screen, I don't even have my screen up, but you guys know where to find our community resources at. But of course they leave this out, which is something that I mentioned in my videos when I shared the video earlier this week got a lot of attention, and it was about what came out in the documents was an email exchange between Ripple and the market makers, where basically Ripple ordered the market makers to let XRP breathe, turn off their bots, assuming that the bots were conducting sales of XRP, programmatic sales of XRP to exchanges. But in that same video, I highlighted how the programmatic sales ended before the lawsuit was even filed. And many people don't understand this. There was programmatic sales to exchanges, which was basically Ripple saying, okay, at this price, we're going to sell off 100 million XRP to the exchanges. They also were using these same bots to buy XRP. In fact, in the court case documents, you can find an exchange with Chris Larson using his personal bot. He had a bot that he was using to buy and sell XRP. And you can see him talking about buying XRP with his own money because he was taking advantage of the dip. So we have Chris Larson, Brad, and Ripple and everybody taking advantage of the dip. And what they want to do is they were trying to stabilize price. They don't want an asset that's going to get negatively impacted by them conducting sales. And they also, I think, eventually want to see the thing go to a higher price, but you don't want to show manipulation, right? You want to be responsible custodians of a reserve currency, unlike our Treasury Department at the United States government that's set to issue 10 trillion worth of bonds this year. But I digress. Let's focus on the subject matter at hand, which is the fact that we have Ripple stopping programmatic sales of XRP before the lawsuit was even filed. So does Ripple have the ability to let XRP breathe, meaning stop programmatic sales? Well, they've already stopped programmatic sales. So there is no ability for them to let XRP breathe now in regards of stopping programmatic sales to exchanges. They already have stopped. And we have David Schwarz, who responded to this because a lot of people were tagging Ripple, Brad Garlinghouse, David. And it was unfortunate because I didn't want that to happen. It was kind of inevitable. But the reason why I brought it up is because it was new information to me. And I wanted to be able to share that with my audience. And I also wanted to be able to get ahead of these negative narratives that these guys were going to put on this story. But sure enough, they're all tagging David and Brad and this. I'm like, oh gosh, what have I started? But David did respond right here. We stopped programmatic sales of XRP. And he shares the Q1 2023 report. And this is what we've been reporting, right? We've been reporting for years since this lawsuit started that Ripple's only selling to on-demand liquidity institutional partners. How many times have you heard me say that? I say that all the time. And this is something that many folks just don't understand. I pulled up and I went and I fact-checked myself because I thought that they had stopped them before the lawsuit, and sure enough, they did. They stopped them a whole year before the lawsuit was filed, as a matter of fact. I went and found this right here. This is from the Q3 2019 report. Ripple stopped programmatic sales of XRP in Q3 of 2019. That would be 1 year before the SEC lawsuit. And here's the Q3 markets report. It says, in the third quarter, we significantly reduced our XRP sales, consistent with the messaging we shared in the Q2 report. For Q3 19, our total XRP sales were only 66 million versus 251 million in the previous quarter. Per the Q2 report, our stated goal for programmatic sales for Q3 was approximately 10 basis points of the new volume benchmark, and we ended sales for the quarter below that at 8.8 bips. In fact, partway through Q3, we decided to pause programmatic sales altogether and focus our over-the-counter sales on a few strategic partners who are building XRP utility and liquidity in regions that are strategically important to our growing global business, including the EMEA and Asia. I went and fact-checked. I went to every single market report from 2020, and every single one says the same thing. For programmatic sales, 0. And then later in, I think it was later in 2020 or 2021, they stopped reporting, they stopped even having a line that said programmatic sales because they'd stopped it completely for well over a year. And so then it just started to say ODL sales to institutions because that's the only sales that they've been conducting. And as they highlight there, they're over the counter. So those sales have no negative impact on the price of XRP. One could make the argument that adding circulating supply may have a negative impact, sure, but you have to understand that it's going straight into utility circulation. It's not going into circulating hands of a retail bag holder that wants to sell their XRP at $5 or $10. You're selling it to institutions that are using XRP no matter what the price of XRP is at. And it's happening over the counter, meaning that retail Joe Blow doesn't have to come up with the money. There is no downward sell pressure. This is a fact that the folks that want to put the negative spin, that make their whole life dedicated to XRP FUD, fail to mention. And it's a fatal flaw in their reporting, and it's why so few people actually watch them. You can only shout so much FUD that's not backed up by real evidence and documentation for so long before people are like, okay, this guy clearly just wants attention, wants to stir up negativity, and that's their whole story that they're sticking to, even though the facts, the evidence, and the documentation contradicts their statements. So I wanted to make this video, set the record straight, and one thing to mention, I saw that Mikkel had made a video in response to my video, and he made a great point that I forgot to mention as well too. I mean, I talked about how XRP had gone up to 80 cents, came back down to 67 cents, and then the email went out to let XRP breathe. So that's so important to understand, though. The rally was already underway. XRP had gone from pennies to 80 cents before Brad sent out that email. So, XRP had already started to roll. So how much influence do they have on price? Back then, you could make the argument that they had a little bit more because they were selling programmatically to exchanges, but they haven't been doing that since Q3 of 2019. All sales now are over the counter, which doesn't impact on market price. It doesn't hit the public order books. So how much impact do they have on price now? With this selling to ODL institutions, I would say none. And so what's going to move XRP is this ecosystem growing of folks that are using XRP for its utility. And that's what you're seeing. With all of the amendments that are bringing additional utility to XRP Ledger, this is what we need to move price forward. And at the top end, you have institutional DeFi like Ripple. And then at the bottom end, you have retail building little businesses and doing little deals. This is a healthy ecosystem. And as I continue to say, Ripple continues to distribute XRP in a responsible way that positively impacts the XRP Ledger ecosystem. They're getting XRP into the hands of people that are using XRP for its utility. That's what we want. And I hope that they continue, And so I wanted to set the record straight. I appreciate everyone who helps us by liking our videos, sharing the content out far and wide. And just remember, you got to stay focused right now. A lot of distractions, a lot of FUD, a lot of nonsense, a lot of chaos, which in and of itself only makes our opportunity all the more better for us. For those of us that stay locked in, setting our intentions, controlling our energy, and now we bring order to this chaos. You guys stay tapped in. I'll see you in the next one. God bless. I am your host, Zach Rector. I really appreciate all of the love and support. If you want to support the channel, just remember that you can start by smashing that thumbs up for me, sharing this content far and wide, and everything else is at my website.